You know, in the world of IT certifications, we're always thinking about the next exam, the next piece of paper. But what if I told you there was a certification so tough, so advanced, it doesn't even have a test? One that's not about what you know, but about what you can actually do. Yeah, that's what we're talking about today. We're climbing all the way to the top of the ITIL certification pyramid to figure out the ultimate challenge, the ITIL Master.
But hey, before we can really appreciate the peak, we have to understand why we're climbing in the first place. Why does a framework like ITIL even exist? Well, it's because every single day, IT pros are out there in the trenches, dealing with some serious, relentless challenges.
First up, he's got the most basic challenge of all, just keeping the lights on. I mean, when a critical application goes down, it's not just a tech problem, is it? It's a domino effect. Suddenly, orders aren't being processed, customers are getting angry, and the whole business grinds to a halt. The pressure to keep things running is just massive.
Then there's this problem. It's not enough to just maintain the status quo. IT is expected to innovate, to drive the business forward. But how many times have you seen projects get completely derailed by vague requirements, not enough skilled people, or just plain bad management? Budgets get blown, deadlines get missed, and a great idea just fizzles out.
And of course, there's the money. The constant, nagging pressure of managing costs. You know, you hear that technology is getting cheaper, but with all the complex software licenses, maintenance deals, and operational costs that just seem to creep up and up, IT spending can feel like a runaway train. And you better believe the business wants to see a real return on that investment.
So how do you get out of this constant loop of just putting out fires? How do you start being strategic instead of just reactive? Well, this is where ITIL comes into the picture. It's not a magic bullet, but it's something just as valuable, a map, a proven guide to help you navigate all this complexity.
At its heart, ITIL is really simple. It's a framework built on what's called good practice. And that's not just some fancy theoretical term. It means it's a collection of processes and activities that have been tested, refined, and proven to work in the real world, in tons of different organizations all over the globe.
And that brings us to our map for today, the ITIL V3 Qualification Scheme. This pyramid layout gives you a super clear path for your professional growth. You start at the bottom with the basics, and you work your way all the way up to the very top, that peak we're aiming for, the ITIL Master. All right, let's start the climb. The journey from the base of this pyramid to the level just below the summit is a really structured path. It's all about learning, taking exams, and building a deep understanding of how the whole ITIL framework fits together.
Everybody starts here. It doesn't matter what your job title is or where you want to go. The ITIL Foundation is ground zero. It covers all the key ideas, the core lingo, and the big picture life cycle of managing IT services. It's the essential building block for everything that comes next.
Now, once you've got that foundation certificate, things get really interesting. The path actually splits in two, and you get to specialize. You can follow one of two different tracks, or you can even mix and match a little to build the kind of expertise that actually makes sense for your career. This choice is a big one.
So this is the fundamental choice you have to make. Are you a lifecycle person or a capability person? The lifecycle path gives you that broad, managerial, high-level view across the 5 main stages of service management. But the capability path, that's way more hands-on. It lets you do a deep dive into specific clustered activities. The path you pick really starts to define the kind of expert you're going to become.
As you move through these intermediate levels, you're basically collecting points, or credits. You take a course, you pass the exam, you get credits, and once you have enough of them, you get to take on the final boss battle for this level, the Managing Across the Lifecycle course, which really pulls everything you've learned together.
It all boils down to this one number, 22. That's how many credits you need to rack up to finally earn the title of ITIL expert. It's a huge accomplishment that proves you have a really comprehensive knowledge of the framework. You've basically made it to the last base camp before the final summit push.
And now, we're here. The peak, the ITIL Master level. And this is where everything, and I mean everything, changes. We're not talking about passing exams or collecting credits anymore. This is about proving, without a shadow of a doubt, that you can apply all that knowledge in the messy, complicated, real world. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It's not about what you can memorize for a test. It's about what you can actually achieve. The whole point of the master level is to validate, to prove that you can take the ITIL framework off the page and use it to solve real business problems and get real results.
So how do you prove it? Well, there are 3 steps, and they are intense.
First, you have to submit a proposal for a real-life project you want to tackle. Second, you actually have to go do the work and submit a massive package detailing everything you did and the results you got. And finally, you have to go to an interview and defend your project to a panel of experts. No multiple-choice questions in sight. This is the real deal.
So what's the big picture here? When you look at this entire pyramid, from the foundation all the way to the master, a really powerful idea starts to emerge. It's all about the critical fundamental difference between knowing how to do something and actually being able to do it.
And here it is, side by side. Look, becoming an ITIL expert is a massive achievement. It proves your knowledge. It's based on exams, driven by credits, and it certifies your theoretical understanding is top-notch. But the ITIL Master? That certifies your application. It's performance-based. It demands real-world proof. It validates that you can practically and effectively create value. It's the ultimate badge of competence.
And that brings us to the last big question for you to think about. This whole ITIL pyramid does a brilliant job of showing us that knowledge and application are both valuable, but they are not the same thing. And it makes you ask yourself, in your own career, where do you put the emphasis? On the knowledge you collect in your head, or on the tangible results you can deliver with that knowledge? It's definitely something to think about.